All right, hello everyone. Good morning, good morning, good morning. Happy Thursday. Today is July 15th, 2023. Always good to know the date, know what's going on around the world. Welcome to our first ever Leeloo's Demo Day 2023. And we're getting started today by having our first speaker, um, BK. BK has been trading for many years, and we're so glad to have him here. I'll introduce him here in a few minutes once I confirm that the sound is good and ready to go. And so, if you guys let me know how everything sounds, we can then get going. So great to see so many of you already here. Thank you for showing up. Thanks for hanging out. And thank you for being here on Demo Day 2023. So, all right, what's going on, guys? Rad Poker, uh, good to see you guys. TX, Claudio, Hannon, uh, great. Once I get the confirmation that the sound is good, then we're good to go. Okay, Rad Poker says great sound. All right, so um, I'm gonna go ahead and bring in BK. We'll test his sound, and once that we confirm the sound is all good on his end, then we will then go ahead and get started. So, but before I bring him in, please be sure you check out the risk disclosure, which is listed here. Just remember you're responsible for your own trades and everything you do. In addition, check out the other disclosure regarding that this is all for educational purposes only, and that the statements, opinions, and points of view expressed here by myself or my guest are our own or their own. And yeah, so here we go. Hello, BK. How you doing today?
Hey Chris, hey, I'm doing well, man. How are you?
I am warming up my voice because I'll be talking all day today. So
Yeah,
just trying to keep it yeah, keep it going here. So I'm doing very well, thank you. um
good, good.
yeah, and I know you are actually traveling kind of semi vacation with the fam, and you're taking some time off from your day to hang out with us, so I appreciate that very much.
Yeah, absolutely. It's great to be here. It's an honor, so I appreciate you calling me. Yeah, kind of sleeping in this morning, so my voice is also kind of got to get woke up here. So sorry if it sounds a little rough, but I'll do the best I can. Enjoying the beach and all the baseball, so it's fun. So glad
Yeah,
to be here, though.
that's very exciting. Well, thank you again. Well, let's get going here. So we got a great show so far. So I appreciate everybody being here, and I appreciate you guys hanging out with us. So we're gonna get started. So if you got questions, just hold on to those questions here for a minute. So once BK kind of gets done talking here, then we'll get the questions towards the end. So I just don't want to miss any questions along the way, just because I'm monitoring the chat. So just hold on to those questions, and but get them ready here. So when we do ask, so BK, you're gonna be chatting about um, psychology, right? And just to point out real quick, so you're talking about psychology right now. Following you today, we right next 11:30 Eastern, we have Jody coming in and chatting. So if you're listening now, please stay tuned. We're gonna take a little break in between, and then at 11:30 a.m. Eastern, we're gonna have Jody join us. So be sure you stay tuned and hang out with us. Okay. All right. Well, I'm showing my chart, but go ahead, BK. Let's lead the way here on psychology and taking our trading to the next level.
No problem. Sure. Well, I guess first off, I hate to say it, but in this, this 30, 45 minute, hour long conversation we're going to have, psychology is not going to get its due, right? I mean, psychology is something that most people don't want to hear that, but it takes time. You're not going to all of a sudden walk away from this conversation, not to be a downer, but in an hour, you're not going to master psychology. So that's the first and foremost. We kind of have to understand that psychology is the biggest thing in trading. People say money management or risk management, strategy, and that's in my opinion. Doing this for 25 years and being successful at it, it's all about psychology. Because I think in one of our previous conversations we've talked about um, there's many different ways to trade the markets, right? So lots of different strategies out there that are successful, that have a little bit of an edge, and every strategy that is successful has an edge. But there's many of those out there. But um, to make those successful, psychology is absolutely the most important thing. So we as individuals are our biggest enemy in most things in life, quite honestly, and definitely in trading we are the number one problem ourselves. So but everybody knows their self better than anybody else, so we can master that, or at least get a good handle on our psychology to make ourselves successful. It just takes time, and you have to learn how to do it. It's a skill you have to learn, and so psychology that we're talking about, most people, it's boring to most people. It's not sexy. Most people want to just get the latest and greatest strategy and jump in and be instantaneously successful. And unfortunately, that's just not the way the trading world works. It's sold on YouTube like that's how it works, but reality is it's not. And you'll find every successful trader around the world that is truly successful and does this for a living. They'll be the first one to tell you that psychology is the most important. So, with all that being said, I know that's probably not what people want to hear, but that is definitely the truth. Okay, um, so psychology really can be broke down all to one word, two words really. Um, and there's a lot of actually there are some pretty good um, there's some pretty good information and books written, videos done on psychology, on trading psychology. They're not the most watched because people just do not want to buy into that. But unfortunately, it has to be done that way. But their psychology is in trading is simple, but it's tough to master. But it's a simple process, and we can't get into the whole process here today, just from a time standpoint. But what I'll leave you with today is just a couple words well, really one word that psychology is broken down to, and there's actually other information out there on this, and you can, if you do some searches, you'll find it. But Mark Douglas is, I mean, obviously kind of the father of psychology, right? So, and everybody that is trading that has learned about a little bit of psychology kind of knows that, and that's kind of really he's the one that everybody kind of studies, and as they should. I mean, he does a great job of breaking down psychology. And I would suggest, and I think we talked about this last time briefly, but Trading in the Zone is a big book and audio. You can do it on audio, you can read it, but it's something every trader should kind of listen to and learn and really break it down and go through the processes that he talks about in trading, with the psychology of trading. So that would be kind of the one resource I would say to go to first, and learning some psychology. Um, but can you hear me? It's kind of quiet over there, so I
Yeah,
don't know
no,
if you can still
I
hear me
got
or
my
if I've
mic.
lost you. Okay.
No, you're good. I got my mic muted.
Okay.
Yeah,
I'm
yeah,
just
no,
at the,
you're good. Yeah.
okay. I'm just at the beach, so I don't know if the signal's going in and out or not. So, um, okay, well, good. Yeah, so the kind of, like I said, we'll make it it has to be kind of quick today, but the one word I'll give you on psychology is expectation. So our beliefs and our expectations really, really critically hinder our ability to trade. Um, Most people go in with an expectation of what's going to happen, and that in itself is the problem. It's kind of hard to kind of understand that a little bit when you're trading because everybody talks about trading biases. Everybody talks about what they want the market to do here and there on a specific strategy. But all that is bad thought process from a psychology standpoint. I mean, you can always you trade your strategy with the edge that you've created or what you have on the market, and when you put in a trade, you want it to win. We get that. We want to win our trades, but having the expectation that it's going to win will sabotage your ability to think and be active when it comes time for your signals based on your method that are there. If you do that, if you learn to do that without expectation of a win or a loss, you'll quickly become a better trader. And that's hard to do. I know it's very hard to do, but the outcome does not matter. And if you've been around psychology at all or learning psychology and trading, you'll hear that quite a bit, and you hear it because it's true. It's hard to it's hard to understand, it's hard to grasp, it's hard to learn, but it can be learned. So it's something that the word expectation is something that we need to get out of our vocabulary and thought process when it comes to executing trades. So from a psychology standpoint, if we can learn to remove that in our thought process, the expectation of an outcome, if we can learn to remove that, we will instantly become better traders. And there's ways to do that. There's ways to learn how to not be thoughtless. Don't misunderstand what I'm saying. Not to be thoughtless on our execution, but there is ways to learn to let a mechanical system, which I'm assuming most people here that are with Leeloo and on this channel are more mechanical and not fundamental. Because of that, psychology either needs to get out of the way even more, I mean, from an expectation standpoint. So the
What
way
is
to be,
the
go
because
ahead.
sorry, quick question on
Yeah.
that. What is the difference between the fundamental and mechanical regarding
Yeah.
trading? You have an example for that?
Yeah. Mechanical. Well, I'll just tell you, mechanical is very, all charts based, right? So you're making decisions based on what you see on the chart only, right? So that's purely mechanical. You're having an X, Y, A, B, C. If these five things happen or two things happen, then I'm going to execute this trade because it's what the chart tells me to do. That's mechanical. Fundamental is the world, the macro view. What's the company that I'm trading? If I'm trading a future, then that's a little bit different. What's the world what's happening around the world to make me want to get into this futures contract? Because most people, this is a whole nother thing and a whole nother topic of conversation. Most people don't really understand what a futures contract is. They just know it's gold or it's NQ, and I'm going to trade this on the chart, but they really don't know what's behind that, what that really means, or what's going on. When you're trading a futures contract, what you're really doing. So that's a fundamental aspect. Mechanical is strictly probably what 99% of us do is look at the chart, make a decision. It either meets our criteria for a trade or it doesn't. That's a mechanical approach.
Gotcha.
So
Okay. So I wonder
yeah.
if just a side note, I guess I wonder if when trading like stocks, for example, we
Uh-huh.
I would imagine more people tend to do more fundamental, right? On the
Correct.
stocks,
Yes.
right? Okay,
Yes.
but futures is a little more, could be more mechanical, and you can kind of get away a little more from the fundamental. But in options, I would imagine it's a little of both.
Yeah, options are, but yes, you can do the same thing with options though. But
Yeah.
yeah, you want to know, and if you're gonna, it all depends if you're doing you day trading options, which
Right. Right.
is very lucrative, or you're looking to hold options for longer
For a while. Right.
expiration, or you're doing leap options or whatever. Then
Right.
fundamentals are a huge part of that.
Right.
It's mostly fundamental if you're going to do leap options and things like that. So,
Okay.
which are yearly options, so if you're going to do that kind of stuff, it's 100% fundamental. But you're correct. More futures is definitely a mechanical approach. But there are things going on behind those. It really just depends on the duration of your trade.
Hmm.
But
Right. Okay.
um, Yep. So
Thank you for
you're right.
clarifying that. Okay. All right. Thank you. Yes.
Yeah. So real, like I said, today we're really just gonna just concentrate on getting the expectation out of our psychology. So, and I know people have questions for that, and please ask those questions and we'll discuss those. But expectation is when you go into this trade, you cannot have a bias or you can have a bias. You can't have an expectation of what's going to happen, because as soon as you say, okay, I've got XYZ for my trade strategy, and all those have been met, so I should win this trade because your expectation is to win this trade. Well, that is you're actually hurting yourself from a psychology standpoint, because here's one thing you have to understand: good, perfect trades will lose. Perfect trades will lose. Everything will line up absolutely perfect. Everything says 100%, not 80% out of the 80%, I'm gonna 80 out of 100, I'm gonna win this trade, or 90%, whatever your number you've come up with on your testing of your strategy. But every single tick has been checked that this is going to be a perfect trade, and it will lose. That will still lose. So if you get the expectation, if you've kind of sabotaged your brain to say, okay, this thing is perfect, it's going to win, and it loses, it takes a big toll on your psychology. So that is a major problem that you have to learn to get through, because when that's perfect that perfect trade sets up and it does not win, what are you gonna start to do if you don't have years and years and years of testing this one specific strategy? If you put that perfect strategy, a perfect trade on, and it loses, you're going to start questioning little things in your mind. You might not do it. You realize you're doing that, but you are going to be doing that from your psychology standpoint, and it's going to put a little chink in the armor, so to speak. And then when that opportunity comes along again, and every single thing checks, and it loses again, or I guess from a creature standpoint, our human standpoint, we want to start questioning why that loss. It should have won. But that's not how trading works. Trading is purely a game of opportunities. And the more opportunities you have, and you have an edge on your strategy, the more your numbers will skew in the favor of positivity. So it is a issue of expectation when things set up to make our system work perfectly as it was designed, and we take a loss, it hurts our psyche. So expectation needs to kind of get tossed out of our psychology standpoint. And like I said, it's not easy to do. It's tough, and I get it. It takes a long time to really I don't think anybody ever masters. I've been doing this for 25 years and I haven't mastered it, but I've gotten very good at it. And it's just because I've got experience, and I've gotten thousands and thousands upon thousands of trades in the market. So I've had really down times, and I've had really great times. And from a psychology standpoint, it's a little bit of a roller coaster until you get that under control. So how do we do that? That's the next question. Okay, expectation. We know we kind of need to get that out of our vocabulary when it comes to our psychology and trading. That's great, Brian. But how do we do that? And so my thought process would be, or what the actual process is a mechanical approach, but taking your trades based on your system that has an edge. Okay, the system has to have an edge, and if your system does not have an edge, you're just grabbing one randomly from somebody and hoping that it works because they've shown how it works. Then you really don't have a good system that I would be, putting my money out there on, first and foremost. So you need to have a method of trading that you enjoy, that you understand, that has a little bit of edge, and has proven that over time, over, just over even 100 trades, even that it has an edge. When everything lines up to your method, and you execute that trade, and it skews to have an edge. I mean, 100 trades is not a lot by any means, but understand we can't sit here and trade back test and do that for years at a time. You know, so but as long as your system has an edge, you can get rid of the expectation mindset.
Order filled.
Okay, and like again, to kind of go back on to doing that would be to just take. Let's the way to do that would be to take your method and let's break our trades down. Okay, most people have a problem with risk management. First off, most people have a problem with their sizing. Most people have a problem with the psychology. So we kind of got to back up against the wall on a lot of things when it comes to executing a trade. But from your to be able to break that down on a mechanical basis to kind of learn to try to get rid of our expectations, because it doesn't matter if the trade wins or lose. It's just all about the process. And everybody, and you've heard that. I mean, people have heard that. Anybody watching this video has probably heard that. But it's gone in and gone out. You know, it's gone in one ear and out the other, so to speak. You know, because it's something that somebody wise has said, but it's 100% true. But it's not, like I said, it's not sexy, and it doesn't um, turn our profit straight up like we want it to into positive money. And I get that, but from we need to kind of take the time. You owe it to yourself and your money, I guess. You owe it to yourself and your money to take the time to work on your psychology and to get rid of the expectation of a win or loss. So again, the kind of the way to do that would be to take a series of trades. Let's just, yeah, I can't make it too many. I can't make it too short. So let's say 30 trades. Take 30 trades. Okay. Take 30 trades, whatever that takes you to do on back testing or forward testing or live market. Take 30 trades and write down all your rules of your method. Write them down one by one. Like, you know, if this criteria is met, I move on to the next criteria. Is that met? Then that met, and that whatever those numbers are, it could be 1 through 20. I don't know, or just it could just be 1 or 2. But you do not execute a trade until that has been 100% met, and then you execute a trade and whatever happens, happens. Just leave it to go. You don't manage it. You don't do anything. You set your risk, and then when your trade opportunity and your method is there and it meets the criteria, you execute that trade. And then you let that just play out any way, shape, or form. Or if you're back testing, you let it roll. And you have to be 100% honest with yourself. There's no making adjustments to things or saying, well, if I'd have done this, this would have won. I would have done this in real time. Well, no. I mean, you got to become a robot for this part of the process. So it's all black or white. There's no gray here. Okay. So you do this for 30 trades and you execute, and then you see after 30 trades with no bias in mind here, no expectation of win or loss. You just see if your method plays out. And does it have an edge? Does it work? I mean, I know 30 trades are not a lot, but if you go through your example, you go through your checklist and you follow it to the T, and it works out then now you can start to say, okay, now I've got a little bit of edge in my strategy, and it works, so I can be confident in that. So you're building psychology just by doing that. So now I know I can start to get rid of the expectation of when I put on a trade, I know I've got a little bit of edge in my method. So I know as long as I put the right number of trades on, or I put enough trades on that meet 100% my criteria, and I've got a little bit of edge, I can get rid of my expectation. So I can get rid of it completely because I know over time I have an edge and my strategy will produce profits. I come out on the right side of a certain amount of trades. So you have to have enough opportunities for your method to work if you want it short term or long term. So there's a lot of work you have to do to work on psychology. It's just not all mental. There's actually a process from a mechanical standpoint to help you in your building psychology along the way. So that's just a really quick way to kind of help get rid of the expectation aspect of your mindset, is to be 100% confident and stick. Here's another thing. You've got to find a method and stick to it. I know the markets change. I get that. And it's good to have a few different methods in your toolbox, so to speak. But the more you start changing your method, the worse you're going to become as a trader. So not every method, even though it might be perfect and everything sets up perfectly, will win all the time. That's just the market, because the market is always right. The market will always change. So your method will not win 100% of the time. I don't care how good it is. It will not win 100% of the time. So you have to be okay with that, and you can't let that play on your psychology when it doesn't, when it does fail, or you do take that loss. And another way to help with that from a psychology standpoint is don't over leverage. I mean, I know that's kind of sounds, basic 101 stuff, but it's amazing. It's amazing the people I've talked to and I know, and I've been in some chat rooms, and they just really don't understand risk, and they want their money so bad. They get so excited when they see their accounts going up by hundreds of dollars, but yet, their loss it will go down thousands of dollars because they do not know how to cut a loss, because you're gonna lose. And being properly risk adjusted will absolutely, from a mental standpoint, put you at ease. The problem is most people's value of a dollar is different, and this is something we've talked about briefly in the past. A dollar to me might be different to a dollar to you guys, or $1,000 might be different to me than $1,000 is to you guys, or whatever the number is. Or same vice versa. People that I know, I can probably tell you without a shadow of a doubt, a dollar is a different value. They're a dollar to them, per se, or let's say 100 grand to them is like a dollar to me. And I get that. So we're totally on a different level of what money value is. So from a risk standpoint, you have to, without a shadow of a doubt, you have to be risk adjust. So let's take an example. Let's say you have $1,000. Okay, now $1,000 is a lot of money. So I don't care who you are. Well, I can't say that. I just told you. Yeah, $1,000 is a lot of money. Let's just put it that way. So $1,000. The way I would suggest you do your back testing or what have you to get rid of the expectation of our psychology is, say you have $1,000 to spend, okay, on your, so set it, if you're demoing it, or if you're doing a demo and back test or whatever, make it 5,000 or 10,000, whatever, but divide that out. So that $1,000, divide that, let's just make it simple math, I'm gonna divide that by 10. So I got 10 trades I can make for $100 per trade. I don't have to guess about, moving my stop to this point or that point or whatever it is to get to that, 1% or what, the number everybody throws out. But make it very, very simple. Take a dollar amount and divide that in this scenario just by 10. I would suggest you probably do it by 30 or what have you, to give yourself a number of trades to kind of help with that. But you do the math, however, whatever the dollar value is to you, you honestly be honest with yourself and set that up. If you're $1 million guy or girl, and $100,000 a pop is not a big deal to you, then use that number. If $1,000 is a lot, then use $100 as a trade base, and either that's where your stop is, wherever that $100 mark is on your chart. When you get into this trade, that's where your stop is. So, and then, always go for at least a 3-to-1. I know people talk about risk reward stuff, that you can't do with a 3-to-1 or 5-to-1. Well, you can, 100% you can do that if you have the right edge and you have the right setups, you absolutely can do that in the right method. So I would suggest no less than a 3-to-1. But so take a 3-to-1 concept here. So every $100 I lose, I'm going to make $300, and just do that over a series of trades, following a purely mechanical system that you have, your strategy with the edge. Do that over 30 time period. I mean, a 30 trade period. So you can kind of see, do I really have an edge or do I not? And it'd be 100% right on, black and white decision, no gray area. I mean, you got to be honest with yourself first and foremost. That's also part of psychology. Is you have to be 100% honest with yourself. And some people might not like what they find when they're 100% honest with themselves. I mean, and that's the other side of that. But the sooner you're 100% honest with yourself, the sooner your psychology will get in line, and you will become a better and more successful trader. Because I believe, I'm probably different than some people, but I believe everybody can trade. I believe 100% I can teach anybody to trade, or anybody can trade if they've mastered their own psychology and understand who they are when it comes to trading. So, what's your personality type? What is your risk tolerance? Excuse me. And then, what are the other tangibles we have to work with there to get that? But I believe anybody can trade. So, if you're listening to this call on this video, watching this video, and trading is interesting to you, which I'm sure, I assume it would be since you're watching that, I believe 100% you can trade and you can be successful at trading, even though it's probably the hardest thing you'll ever do in your life, quite honestly, from a career standpoint. I'm not talking, it's not physical labor by any means, but it's mental labor when you do it right. You have to get past, I guess, let me rephrase it. It's mental labor until you get to a point where it just doesn't matter. The outcome doesn't matter, and that's our ultimate goal. But it's tough to do that, but you can do that. Absolutely can do that. So anybody can do that if they're willing to tackle and take on the challenge. But
Yeah,
so, Chris, that's kind of my little
perfect.
spiel just for about 20 minutes, and just to kind of get rid of the word expectation out of your psychology.
Right.
And that's the fastest way to do it, the best way to do it, and just keep working that process. I'm sorry we don't have a lot of time today, but I want to leave time for questions, and
Yeah,
so I can answer those. But there you go.
perfect. Yeah, so we do have a few questions. Let me get them, but a lot of good points, for sure, right? And I think what I see a lot, you're talking about, hey, take the 30 trade challenge, right? um, or whatever X number, but the more the better, right? And try to
Right.
just be patient and follow whatever you're gonna do, just do it, right, and stick to it. But you were talking about expectations, right? And it's very interested, and to, I know we got traders from all over the world, but uh, we this applies, I think, to any sport. Every sport has that one team. I'll say this. Most professional sports or college level sports, they have that one team that they win. They always seem like they always win, right? They're the and I know that changes, right? Back in the day, Green Bay, right, and the NFL was the team, right, and then back in the day, maybe I think the Cowboys, and so on. So I know it changes probably over time.
Right.
And one, if you ever notice, the team that does have, let's say that, like they seem to win all the time. Their fans will take some sort of mentality, where it's not just suddenly now winning is just not enough at this point, right? So like if you don't win by 50 points, you didn't win the game. So they're never happy. There's some sort of satisfic, I can't even say it. Sa-
Satisfaction.
Satisfaction. I don't even know what I'm trying to say, but being satisfied. Here we go. Being satisfied with the outcome in the sense of, okay, going back to the mechanical part, right? Did the team play well, right? Did we beat ourselves? Because you can still win a game and lose the game, right? So you win
Absolutely.
the physical game, the scoreboard game, but as a team, maybe you just happen to be better than the other team, like overall, but you made a bunch of mistakes, right?
Mhm.
So you beat yourselves, right? And so, I don't know if that's making sense. So you have this teams, fans, where you're like, you come after a win, and then the fans are like, well, I mean, like they're never gonna be satisfied, and that satisfaction, I think, can affect you, like you said, the expectation, right? Your expectation is we got to win by 90 points or we lost. You know what I mean? And so I think that hurts. But the other thing that I thought about while you were talking, and something I started doing on my YouTube videos on my journey to qualify the $50,000 account, is at the end I say, hey, if we won, for example, I said, hey, today we had a win-win. We won in numbers, right? We either had a dollar amount that we made in a positive, situation. So yeah, we won that way. But maybe we also won because we follow all the rules, right? And
No,
that's the
100%.
most important win, right?
That
Because
is
if
100% correct. That is the most important. Win or lose, did you
yeah,
follow the rules perfectly?
yeah, yeah,
Yeah.
and then when you can have a losing day money wise, right? And then and follow all your rules, so you still won. So I made a title the other day for one of the YouTube videos saying, when something along the lines of like, I I I win even when I lose, right?
Good.
And
I like that.
so I even when I lose dollar amounts, I still win if I followed all my rules, right? And whatever
Right.
that rules are and whatever strategy that is. So,
Yeah.
but yeah, let me get to a few questions here, and let's see here. Let's see if I can. Okay, see. There's one up there and I lost it. So, okay. Well, Omar says. Let's see. What about the trailing drawdown? So specifically to Leeloo, or companies like Leeloo with a trailing drawdown, how do you handle that? How do you fix yourself with that psychology?
Well, I guess with that, the trailing drawdown has to be what I'm actually trading with. So I would say, from a psychology standpoint, let's say you have a $50,000 account evaluation. What's the trailing drawdown on that one?
2,500.
Okay, so I actually don't have a $50,000 account. I got a $2,500 account.
Mm-hmm.
So from that standpoint, my psychology has to be, well, I have to break out my risk over 2,500 and not the 50,000.
Mm-hmm.
So I can't play that game with myself. Because as soon as I play that game, I'm going to over leverage and over risk. So from a pure psychology standpoint, my money, I have to build on a $2,500 account, and I have to constantly just stay in check with that 2,500 and check it every day, my thresholds
Mm-hmm.
or what have you, to that $2,500 account. So from a pure psychology standpoint, everything else stays the same except, the basic simple fact is I'm not trading a $50,000 account, I'm trading 2,500.
Mm-hmm.
And you just have to wrap your head around that and do all your risk adjustments and everything based on 2,500. So
Mm-hmm.
I don't know, from a psychology standpoint, there's no real magic answer except that it's in the answer. If that makes sense, it's not a
Right.
$50,000 account; it's a $2,500 account.
Right.
So don't psych yourself into thinking I'm trading a $50,000 account, because I'm not. So
Right.
anytime I have a trailing drawdown, and if it tightens up because of the drawdown gets down to 1,000, well, now I have to make the adjustments for that from a trading standpoint and a psychology standpoint to realize what I've got. So I'm still not trading with 2,500 anymore. So I got to make those adjustments,
Right.
and just understand it's going to be a longer process. That's the other thing. We have to we have to really understand the fact that this trading game to qualify accounts or just real live money, whatever you're doing, is not a quick process.
Mm.
We have to understand trading. This needs to be a long game for you if you're going to be a trader. And that takes in the account, you have to break things down and you have to understand, okay, I might be doing this valuation for 6 months to qualify.
Mm-hmm.
I'm not going to try to qualify in 30 days so I don't have to pay another monthly fee. That's if you put yourself in that position, you're going to be doomed to fail most likely.
Mm.
So from a psychology standpoint, that's the biggest thing. We have to go into this thing knowing, okay, I got a $2,500 drawdown. My account, my trade basis, my risk management, everything's got to be based on 2,500. So it might take me. What's the profit goal on that? Is it 3,000?
It's 3,000. Yes.
Yeah. So all right. So just from my way of looking at that is, if I have a $2,500 account and I got a $3,000 profit target, I got to make a lot of money on a $2,500 account to make $3,000, which can be done, no problem. It's just you need to understand it might take me 45 days.
Mm-hmm.
It might take me just a little bit longer to do it the right way from a risk management standpoint. I can't go out there trying to be trading 4 or 5 contracts on a $2,500 account. I'm not trading a $50,000 account. I'm trading a $2,500 account, right?
Right. Right.
So I got to be in micros for sure,
Yeah.
but break that down and it's the same thing. So it's just from psychology, it's just really understanding what you're trading, not trading a $50,000 account. That's all.
Yeah. Good point. For sure. And somebody made a comment. Omar made a comment. Says successful traders have no emotions during the trading, and I think people and feel free to jump in, but people any human trading will have emotions. The question is, are they able to manage their emotions? Right.
Correct.
So that's so I'm not. I don't know. I'm not saying he's saying this, but it's like when you read like somebody from history. Something like Abraham Lincoln or George Washington. People think they put him in this position. Like, no, guys, this is they're just like us. They had the same emotions and they had the same thoughts and they had the same struggles, right? They weren't special that in a way that they didn't have that. Is how they were able to overcome that, right?
Right.
So yeah. So anyways, I see that a lot. It's like, oh, you shouldn't have this. Well, yes, but you're gonna have it. Is how can you manage it, right? How can you
Yeah,
control it, right? If that
absolutely.
makes sense.
Yeah, because I mean, you're a human being, so you're made of emotion. I mean, that's how we're built on emotion. Like you said, you have to learn to control it. And what Omar's saying, though, is still correct. You got to be, you can't have emotions that are not under control. Is probably the better way to put that, because you are going to have emotions. Everybody has emotions. Some of the best traders in the world that I know have emotions, but what they've learned to do, like you said, is manage their emotions and control them.
Mhm.
And they follow a process and they don't care about the outcome. And that helps control emotion. When you don't care about the outcome, that helps control the emotion because you've done everything else prior to executing that trade that's taken emotion out of the result.
Mhm.
So, and that's part of psychology and following your plan. So Omar's correct in that aspect, is the fact that you got to be as emotionless as possible. So
Right.
yeah, I agree.
Perfect. Yeah. And so again, overall, so you mentioned, um, the different uh, strategies out there, or you use a different word, edge. You know,
Hmm.
I've come to learn now. Remember, I'm an outsider, right? You hear that a lot from politicians. Hey, I'm an outsider. Uh, but I am right. I haven't joined any cool groups or anything like that. And then when you started, for those, by the way, for those listening, again, welcome and thank you for hanging out with us. So BK has been my mentor. We're friends, and we were friends before he taught me or I knew anything about him trading futures. And one day I finally just asked him, man, what do you do for a living? And we went from there, and he for the next several years, he took the time to teach me to trade futures, and so I don't use a lot of the um, technical terms just because kind of like I was like not around a bunch of other traders. It was just Big K and I, right? So that's a little of the backstory. But regarding your edge, I wonder. I hear people use a lot of different words, right? And I'll call them fancy words that sometimes, in my opinion, right, can lead to um, going back to the word you said, expectations, right? Like, hey, I have this edge that
Yeah.
is a 90% win rate. I have this edge, and then I'm like, dude, in my mind, right? I'm like, I don't. If I have a 90% win, to me, right, having a 90% win rate means nothing. If the 1% of the time I lose everything. You know,
100%. Right.
yeah.
Yeah.
And so I'm more, when I look at traders, I and when I talk to traders, right? And when I look at data, I don't look at how many times they've won. I see how many times they have lost. And how can they handle losses? How many times can they go losing and afford to keep the account, right?
There you go.
And
Perfect.
it's
Yeah.
and same thing for me, right? Like how long can I trade and not lose my account, right?
Yeah.
Being patient. In fact, we just took a trade here while you were talking, and I took it. I of course I let's see what time we took that trade at. We took that trade at 23, so about 20 something minutes ago. Okay, and I
Okay.
had a profit target. I had a stop loss in set, and I've been talking to you, right? I had a
Yeah.
beautiful rounding pattern being built. I trade, just for those listening, I trade a rounding pattern. I trade supply and demand zones with rounded patterns with market
Hmm.
structure. Now,
Hmm.
I was talking to somebody the other day, and they're like, well, that's not market structure. I'm like, okay, well, I don't know what you call market structure, but what I call market structure is the market going up or down? That's the market structure. Is it making higher highs and higher lows, or is it making lower lows, lower highs? That's all I need to know. So if I'm not using the right terms, oops, sorry, but that's what I call it. So that's how we're gonna
Yeah.
roll with it, right, from my end.
There you go.
So we're
Sure.
making higher highs and higher lows, right? And
Hmm.
we're creating random patterns and going into supply and demand zones. In this case, demand zones, because I'm looking for longs. We had a long situation going, but we came close to losing that trade. I still took a phenomenal trade in the sense of
Yeah.
we're in the higher highs, higher lows, rounding pattern on a supply, in this case, a demand zone to go long. So I was good either way. We came really close to my target, my profit target, missed it by a couple ticks. It came back down, right? Was I nervous? No. I have already calculated my drawdown because This is the $50,000 account to try to qualify, right? So I've already
Okay.
calculated my drawdown. So I know if I lose, if it gets right to it, just a hair to it, and I lose the trade, I already know how much I'm going to lose on the trailing drawdown aspect. I already know how much I'm going to lose on the total account balance aspect, and I'm good, right? And so, but it's interesting. One of the things about psychology regarding the trailing drawdown, I find it positive even when I lose on the trailing drawdown aspect, right? So when price goes up, let's say $500, let's say you have a $10 stop loss. Price goes up $500, it comes back down, and you lose the $10. Well, you didn't lose just the $10, you lost the 500 plus the $10, right? On the trailing drawdown part. Well, in my
Yeah.
mind, here's the positive on that. On my mind, I look at that as I have $110 now, or sorry, I'm sorry, I got $500 now that I can let the trade run without the trailing drawdown moving, right? So
Right.
that's a positive, encouraging mental win for me, right? So this trade, I was down on my trailing drawdown about $500. So when I let it run $500, it wasn't affecting my trailing drawdown at all. And so I think anytime you can find mental wins, right? How to find something negative and make it a positive. Those are mental wins, and I call them mental wins because you do those in in everything, right? In sports, when somebody is calling, yelling at you and maybe saying, "Hey, maybe you look a little different than other people," right? So they're like, "Hey, man, you're too tall. You're not gonna be good for this position. You're too short. You're too whatever, right?" And you can turn that around. I was like, "Oh man, oh, this is amazing. They're underestimating me. That's the best situation you can be in, because they're not gonna double team me. They're not gonna do all this stuff. So that's even better. Like, you know what I'm saying? Does that make sense? What I'm trying to
Yeah.
say?
Yeah, absolutely.
Yeah.
Absolutely. I would only add one thing to what you're saying there. By making a positive out of a negative situation, just make sure it's an honest positive, right? So
Mm-hmm.
we're not justifying doing something that was wrong
Mm-hmm.
to make ourselves feel positive about the situation. That would
Mm-hmm.
be my only caveat to that, and which I know you do. So
Mm-hmm.
you're by what I mean by that is, yeah, I lost, but did I follow every single rule?
Mm-hmm.
Did I do it 100%? Yes. Then I'm going to take the 100% positive of that. I'm not going to
Mm-hmm.
say, well, yeah, I probably shouldn't have taken that because of this. It's
Right.
really kind of made it really sketchy, but you know what? I did this right, so I'm good. No, that's bad.
Right.
But what you're saying that is finding the positive out of a losing situation, because
Right.
it's going to lose. You, like I said earlier, your perfect trade's going to lose. And
Right.
if you followed every single rule, you take positive out of that because your edge will outlast the loss.
Right.
So that's exactly right. So I
Yeah.
agree with that.
Perfect.
Yep.
Awesome. Well, we do have a few more here. We'll get going. I know you got to run, but did let's see. Gosh, it's hard to keep up with this here. Um, Rob MV3 Trader says, I've had a 90+% win rate. And the thing about those strategies is that losses are usually massive. And then he says, I'm actually curious what the other person consider market structure. So he's making a comment about that. Dave Demmer says, you need to check your ego at the door. That's a very good point. At one time, you said that females have an advantage over guys as they tend to be better. They have the potential of being better traders. Do you remember that comment?
Yeah, 100%. I still, yeah, I know it to be a fact on some situations because most women don't carry an ego like a man does. A man just does not want to be wrong, and he's willing to go down with the ship.
Mm-hmm.
Well, you can't be that way in trading. You got to, the best thing to do, one of the best skills you'll ever learn, and this is a whole nother lesson, is how to be how to be very, very good at losing and how
Mm-hmm.
to be very quick at losing.
Mm-hmm.
And that you have to take the ego out of the equation to be able to be successful at that.
Yeah.
100%. So a lot of women are actually better traders because they're not so ego based, so
Mm-hmm.
so egotistical, I guess you could say. So, but yeah, because they know how to, they'll admit they're wrong quickly. At least some of them on a trading standpoint, maybe,
Right.
maybe not in certain situations, but
Right.
from that standpoint, they're willing to say, okay, this didn't work out, no big deal. Let's look for the next opportunity, and let's not dig this hole so deep, just like the gentleman just said,
Yeah.
90% win rate. I
Yeah.
hate to say that, but your losses are wiping you out, so it's not a good method,
Right.
and it's not a good system because like you said, actually, we both have a friend that had to go through this himself, right, and had to
Mm-hmm.
understand, even though we talked about it, told him
Right.
he had to understand that himself. And he had like a 98 or 96 or something percent win rate, but that 1 or 2 losses wipe out his whole account.
Right.
So and you just have to understand that and learn that. So win rate's not a predictor on how well you're going to do in trading.
Right. Right.
Yeah.
Okay. Yeah. No. Perfect. And last thing, I think this is the last comment here. We'll shut it down. And BK, I do want to thank you. I know you're with your family. You're on a beach trip. You're on
Yeah.
vacation, and you always follow. I appreciate your friendship, right? I appreciate you, like, because I can tell when you're like, well, yeah, sure, I can bring my laptop on my vacation, and I guess I can jump on a call early. You know, no, but no,
Anything
you
for
did it.
you,
You did it.
sir.
You're no, no, I did it. I'm just like in my mind. I'm like, oh, I know this is not looking good, but yeah. No, I appreciate you doing that very much. But you do
Yeah.
it, yes, out of our friendship. Yes, but you owe me nothing, right? But but you also have a passion for generally helping people, like not just in trading. I'm talking about just overall, and
Yeah.
obviously that carries over to trading. And so I appreciate you. You're not here. You don't sell anything. You have nothing to sell. You don't
No.
have any products to sell. You're not getting
No.
anything out of this conversation besides spending your time with me
Yeah.
and 61 other people listening. So I appreciate that very very
Oh,
much.
cool.
Yeah,
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 absolutely. I mean, I just want other people to understand, even though trading is extremely difficult, you can do it.
yeah,
You just have to you have to conquer the right things in the right order.
yeah.
And unfortunately, it's not the method first. That's
Right.
that's not the foundation of a successful trader. That's not what people want to hear, because like I said earlier, it's not sexy, but um, every successful trader I know that you'll ever find that is truly successful at trading will tell you that's the foundation of all success trading, not the method.
Yeah,
So
yeah.
just take, I mean, just feel good and take hope that everybody here, even if you're struggling or you're
Hmm.
already successful at trading, then great, keep it up. But if you're struggling, hang in there. Just keep working and find a different way, maybe a different approach. Maybe it's tackling psychology, which I would believe that's probably what it is. Because, like I said, there's a lot of different methods at work. I mean, there's hundreds of methods at work, but the one thing that's stopping it is you, the trader, and your psychology, and the way you think about the trade, and the way you think about your whole process of winning and losing, and all that has to completely change in any method. And I will stand by probably any method will work if it has an edge. Any method will work.
Hmm.
But yeah, man, I'm happy to be here. Happy to hope somebody took something. I know I can tend to ramble sometimes, but I hope somebody got something out of it, and they watched the video, and can tell you they've got something, or they want to ask another question they didn't think of right now, then we can do that another time as well, for
Yeah,
sure.
for sure. Yeah, and I think Robert. It looks like we have one more question. Robert's gonna come in.
Okay.
I don't think he knew that he could ask questions now, so I'll give Robert here a second.
Yep.
But what something that I used to do at the beginning in is you're talking about the 30 trade challenge. By the way, guys,
Yeah.
feel free to trade sim. Don't feel like, oh, I gotta go buy an account of Leeloo and take this 30 day 30 trade challenge. No, no, no. I'm not here. Look, I'm not a salesperson, so I'm probably the worst salesperson ever. Um, I'm like, don't buy an account. But guys, sim is there's nothing wrong with sim. Okay,
Right.
now once you get to the point where you got the mechanics in place and stuff, then that's where Leeloo comes in, right? This is where you say, hey, I got a strategy and I want some skin in the game. I wanted the potential to earn real payouts. Let me tell you about Leeloo, right? And so that's where Leeloo is phenomenal at. You can practice your strategy and continue to improve, and get the potential of earning real payouts, right? And so, but that 30 day. So what I used to do when I trade, right, where everything I on paper, right, on my mind is correct, and it will go and like I would get so close to winning and then it will come back down, and then what do you want to do? You want to start changing things, right? Like, oh, I need to change my profit. So if it was correct before, it suddenly doesn't become incorrect, right? Your emotions are the ones who start changing things. Now obviously
Right.
I'm not talking about managing your trade in the sense of like, oh, it's I was wrong, but at this place, like if you did your homework, you know 80% of your trade should not be suddenly changing to you being wrong, if that makes sense. Like if
Yeah.
it's
At
instead,
least 80%.
yeah,
Yeah.
yeah. So going back to the 30 challenge, the 30 trade challenge, step back, and what I had to do is I had to step away from my computer. I had to stand on the back wall and look at my trade from afar, where I wasn't tempted to use my mouse, and because I couldn't, because I wanted to change the trade,
Yeah.
right? I wanted to change the
Yeah.
the profit target or whatever. So I would be so far away, and then I couldn't see what was exactly going on. So I was like, I was like a little kid, right? I'll get right real close to the dessert to the food, to the whatever. I want to like touch it, lick it, smell it, and then and then I'll run back, right? And then I'll do all this kind of stuff. I used to throw my mouse and literally just go and like throw it somewhere in the room where like I'm not just I'm doing all this stuff because I couldn't control myself at the beginning.
Right.
And as I
Right.
grew as a trader, like just now, right? I was sitting here watching you, listening to you talk, watching this trade. I had no problem, right? Because I'm like, okay, regarding my method, regarding my rules, I did everything I'm supposed to. So I did my part. All right, here's the question
Yeah.
from Robert. Could BK give his opinion on a trader automation a strategy completely? Okay, let me read that again. Could BK give his opinion on a trader automation strategy completely? Um,
So he's talking about like a robot. I'm assuming like
yeah, that's what I think
algo
is what
trade,
I
an
said. Yeah.
algorithm. Yeah. 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 I love algorithms. I'm going to be the first one to tell you because of the fact that it takes you out of the loop.
Mm-hmm.
But every algorithm is not created equal, right? So what you're going to find, most algorithms that you can buy, quite honestly, and not knocking those, are not the best ones you can get. Algorithms are great because it takes emotion out, and if you're going to just be a guy that or girl that just says, you know what, here I'm gonna put this algorithm on, and whatever happens, then great. That's psychology. But if you still want to be the guy that kind of determines overall, hey, I need to, kind of watch this and make some adjustments if I need to, then algorithms can be tough. But I I am for algorithms because
Mm-hmm.
algorithms are the true black and white traders in the world.
Mm-hmm.
Meaning that there's no emotions involved. Period. It's just numbers, right? So that will determine if you can get a system that has edge on an algo based on the algo, then I wouldn't mess with it. I would just let it run, knowing it's still going to have times of down, because nothing's perfect, but the overall edge over the long term should work. So yes, I am a fan of algos, and I use them personally, but
Yeah.
I also trade personally.
Yeah.
So
Yeah.
I do both.
I was gonna say, I haven't advertised this, but you and I, we get an algorithm that we created,
Hmm.
and when I say we know what that means.
Yeah,
Eh,
I do, but yeah, you go
it's
ahead
a
and take
team
that.
effort.
That's
It's a
right.
team
That's
effort,
right.
BK. Like
Yes, it is. Always,
I
always.
mean, it's a team effort, but I don't advertise it. I don't talk about it, right?
Right.
And there's nothing to talk about. But
Right.
yeah, it's but let me answer that. If you're learning to trade, that's not what you don't start at the algorithm part, right?
No, absolutely not. Yeah.
Yeah. So that's something to understand. It's like what is your goal here? If it's to learn to trade and become a trader, you don't start with the algorithm situation. You start
Yeah.
with, the foundations and everything we just talked about. And from there, and then later on, hey, look at this, here's this potential and all this kind of stuff. So very
Yeah. Because
interesting.
you can actually learn from an algorithm. You can actually learn if you know the algorithm has an edge and it does well
Mhm.
for you, then just sit back and let it do its job.
Right.
But you watch it
Hmm.
and you play game. You play game. Do I would I have made this trade? Why? Yes or no? Or
Yep.
or how? Why is it making it here? Even though these are the rules.
Hmm.
Is this a rule that I didn't really truly understand?
Hmm.
Because the algo, like I said, just deals with numbers, right? And
Hmm.
and code.
Right.
So when you code it, it's going to be 100% based on that code. It has zero emotion, which is great. So you could say, well, maybe I didn't really understand the market was doing that. Visually, I guess I didn't realize that's really what the market was doing that when I thought it was doing this,
Right.
because the algorithm's going to do what it says it does no matter
Hmm.
what.
Yeah.
So you could actually learn from a good algo as well. So just keep that
Yeah.
in mind if you find
Yep.
one like that.
Yep.
Yep.
Here's another one. You have to know who
Yeah.
you are at the front and before you can even go with an algo. Yep, good point. Then another person says some advice on the fact that I am in profit and continue to trade and end up with a loss, question mark. So some advice on the fact that I am in profit and continue to trade and end up with a loss. So can I jump in on that one real quick, PK?
Yeah, go ahead. Yeah,
So
yeah. I'll jump in after you. Yeah.
yeah, what I think I've gathered from that question is saying, hey, I'm up. I'm just gonna give up a number here. I'm up $1,000 for the day, right? And then it says I continue to trade and I end up with a loss. What I don't trade my dollar account. I don't trade a dollar. I don't
Good.
trade my
Good.
account balance. I don't trade my P&L. I trade my strategy. So is my strategy there? When I go into a trade, is everything lined up, right? And if it is, that's what I'm trading. Now, I have a limit in the sense of like, let's say, usually, let's put it this way, I can quickly turn on the computer and look to see if there's a setup, and if there's not, I'm moving on. If there is, okay, I'm going in. If I go in and let's say win or lose, right? Okay, did it follow all the rules? Is the market doing what I expect? And if it does, I'll stay in again. I'll maybe go into another trade, but I have to wait for another setup, right? I can't just go in
Mhm.
just to go in. If there's another setup and it's looking good, I'll go in. But let's say that the first one, everything looked perfect and I lost the trade, right? So I lost the dollar amount part. Okay, now did I lose because of Chris, right? Me, or did I lose because the market is not doing what I thought it was going to do exactly, right? Or maybe I mistimed it, or whatever it is, right? I have to take that into account because maybe something's off. Either the market is off, and when I said the market is off, it's off based on what I think it was going to do, or I'm off, right? Maybe that day I'm having a bad day. I'm not looking at things right. Maybe I didn't read something right. So I would think about that and say, oh, maybe I did follow the rules. The market is doing what's supposed to, but I just had a bad trade. No problem. Bad trade meaning I lost the dollar amount, but good trade. I followed the rules. I'd go into another trade, and let's say I had to lose that trade, right? Well, okay, wait a second. Okay, did I lose it because of what reason? And if it's because maybe the market's going wild and the wicks are longer than usual, whatever the reason, I may say, you know what? I may not be reading something right? I may be reading this incorrectly. I'm having a bad day reading it. I'm not seeing the patterns that I'm supposed to be seeing in my head. So you know what? There's always tomorrow or the next day or the next day. So that's what's going to stop me from trading, not the fear that I'm up in profit or down in P&L. BK?
Yeah, 100% agree. Yeah, and that's what we talked about early on last time. 100% agree with that. It has nothing to do with P&L. Zero. And that's part of psychology. It has nothing to do with your profit and loss. Because as soon as you do that, like I said, the dollar value means something to everybody and other emotions come in. So dollar value has to go out the window. For me, personally, on my day trading stuff, because I day trade, I swing trade, I trade options, I do everything because I believe in diversifying, and kind of, especially in the trading world, the bigger your toolbox, the better. That's just my opinion, and it gives you other opportunities. But on a day trading standpoint, what it sounds like this person's doing,
Mm-hmm.
I have a time. My trades are all based about time, not dollar amount.
Mm-hmm.
I have a set time, 2 hour. I have it for me personally. It just works for me. I have a 2 hour window, 2 to 2.5 hour window. I trade, and if I have zero trades, cool, perfect. If I have 10 trades that meet my criteria, 100%
Mm-hmm.
black and white, then I'll take the trade. It has nothing to do if I'm down for the day or up for the day. It has no difference for me. I've managed my trade to where if I took 10 losses, no problem. I have it does not hurt me from a money standpoint because each one of my trades, I'm only risking a certain amount. And the way the money management works out, if I took 10 losses, not a problem. So the whole money piece, I take the dollar amounts out of the game completely.
Mm-hmm.
So the only way the way I would tell this person to fix that is to find a time, whatever meets whatever is best for them from a real world standpoint, having a job, kids, family, whatever it is, whatever that time is, even if it's not the best time in the market from a volatility standpoint, um, find that time and you dedicate your trading to that time only. And that's what gets you out. You have a beginning and an end, right?
Mm-hmm.
And if those trades, like you say, set up based on 100% your rules and criteria, you take the trade during that window just to get yourself from And I'm telling you, just to do that, and you can change that if you want to look at charts all day. You can do that after you've kind of helped yourself psychology.
Mm-hmm.
Because I can promise, nothing's worse than being up $1,000 using your number and then end up losing and being down $1,000 or $500. There's
Mm-hmm.
nothing worse to your psychology than that, and that will carry and stay with you
Mm-hmm.
until you fix that to where that can't be a possibility for you. So the only way, just to answer the question shortly, the way I fix that is a time interval, and the money has no say in what I do, taking a trade or not.
Yeah.
So,
Perfect. All right, two more. We'll go real through
yep,
quick. What do you
that's
think
fine.
of order flow? And then the other question, I just missed it. I just saw it. Oh yeah. How do you stay? And this is really, I can't emphasize this enough. This is really focused towards you here. Um, any psychology, any psychology tips to stay humble?
uh, oh man. Well, let's talk about the order flow first.
Yeah.
The order flow, I like order flow. Yeah, I do
Yeah.
like order flow, and I believe there's validity to order flow. Just don't base everything you do on order flow. So have something to help with that, because there's different. It also depends on how you're looking at order flow. There's actually about 4 to 5 different ways to look at order flow, and I hate to say that, but most people don't look at true order flow. They look at an indicator that tells them that, or they look at something somebody else showed them on YouTube that's got order flow in it, or somebody's created an indicator that shows you order flow. Well, there's only a few of those that are really good that's true order flow, to be honest with you. But if you like order flow, good. Just add something to that to make decisions. Because I like true order flow as well. I don't use it. In the way that probably you guys would use it, but
Mm-hmm.
um, I think true order flow is good if it's true. I know that's kind of vague, but there are
Mm-hmm.
some things out there that's not real true order flow. But
Mm-hmm.
if you got a good order flow, yeah, use it absolutely to help you gain an edge. Use that. Add that to your toolbox.
Okay.
Now on staying humble, was that the question again?
Right. How can you the psychology? Any
Yeah,
psychology tips? Yeah. Any psychology tips to stay humble? And
yeah,
when I think about that, I do want to say this because I have some experience on this. Has a fun. I have fun experience on this. But it's like
yeah,
I just picture like imagine like for example you had a winning day today. Let's I make up a number
yeah,
here, $1,000
yeah,
just based on the number somebody used recently. So you made a thousand
yeah.
dollars. So what do? You go to your friends like, hey guys, we're going out to dinner. Hey, dinner's on me. You throw the money on the ground. Let's rock and let's have a party. Well, if you're gonna have that same reaction for when you make 1,000, what is then that means that, but like kind of like the physics law of physics, you're gonna have the opposite reaction when you lose. So if you lose 1,000, what's gonna happen? Guys, don't talk to me. Don't ask me any questions. I don't want to. No, stop. I can't talk to anybody. I'm not going out today, guys. Please, no. Like
Yeah.
I can't get out of my bed. I have to go. It's over. So you can't have those roller coaster things. Now, that's not necessarily being humble. I guess it's more of and I guess when I say humble, I'm like, that's what I mean is. So I don't know. Maybe I think they probably mean the actual definition of humble bragging or something, but not humble bragging, but bragging and compared to whatever. But you can't have the roller coaster of emotions. It's like okay, you did your job. It's the P&L does not shouldn't affect your how you have the rest of your day, right? So,
Right.
anyways, okay, but yeah. So the psychology tips of being humble, BK.
Well, I don't know if there's a whole lot of psychology tips to that. I think my first response would be is people are people. You are who you are.
All right.
Um, and money shouldn't make a difference. Unfortunately, money will, which everybody's heard this most likely, but money will just emphasize who you really are. So in some circumstances now, I do believe people can change on that for sure. But
Mm-hmm.
if you're a bad person that doesn't have a lot of money, and then you get a lot of money, you're still going to be even more of a bad person. I mean,
Mm-hmm.
not by doing things blowing the money is what I mean by that.
Right.
So I'm all about buying things and having nice cars and toys and houses and vacation spot. I'm all about that, 100%. I think you take care of yourself, but I think you take care of people.
Right.
You know, you help other people, and that helps keep you humble. You
Mm-hmm.
know, because you'll find that one thing I found: the more money you have, the more realization comes to the fact that you don't need money to be happy. You don't need
Right.
money to be a good person, and you'll find more people that have money if they weren't a good person before that, humble, good people, that it doesn't make them any happier. You know, it kind
Right.
of makes them more miserable.
Yeah.
So I don't really know of a psychology tip except I really don't know a psychology tip, to be quite honest, on how to stay humble.
Right.
I think that's just you as a person have to work on that,
Right.
because there is a point to where I mean, I'm a pretty nice guy, I think, but you know, there's been times where I've had lots of money and I wasn't a jerk, but I was like, you know, I can do this and I can do that, you know,
Yeah.
whatever.
Yeah. I
I don't
remember
care,
that.
you know.
Yeah. Yeah.
Yeah.
I was kidding. I was kidding.
You know,
Yeah.
but it's kind of, you have to work on it. You have to
Right.
stay humble. You have, I mean, it's to be humble. You have to work at that. If it's not in your
Right.
personality, if it's in your
Yeah.
personality, it's easier. But
Yeah.
if it's not, you just have to work on that. And really, you know, I have other beliefs, and from a religious standpoint, that I think I have to go back on a lot, you know,
Right.
and do it, you know, to kind of help me with that. But
Yeah.
um, it's just, you just have to work on it. I don't
Yeah.
think there's personally a psychology tip. It's just you have to just work on being a good person, man. I mean,
Yeah.
and whether you have it or you don't, whether you're a successful trader or you don't,
Right.
because you can't beat yourself up. You know, that's also part of working on things. You can't beat yourself up when things go wrong or things
Right.
are down. You can't
Right.
beat yourself up, man. You gotta be positive, because life's not easy, as we all know. You know,
Yeah.
and but yeah, so that's about it I got on
Yeah.
the
Okay.
psychology tip for being humble.
Right.
Not helpful, I'm sure, but
Yeah.
that's the only way I know to explain that. There's no tip that I've ever been given that I've read on
Yeah.
how to be humble.
Yeah. Well, if you want to
Yeah.
be learn about being humble, you can buy my book, The Humble. No, I was kidding. Uh, how to be
I was
humble in
waiting for
three.
something like that.
How to be humble in three
I knew
steps. Right, the three steps of being humble when winning gets boring. Wait,
And by the way, being successful is boring, just so you
it
know
is
that.
boring. Yes. And then we do have some other questions, but real
Yeah,
quick,
yeah.
Aaron says, "What do you think about Forex Summit 2023 and similar meetups?"
I have no problem with those. Yeah, I think that's good to be around other people.
Yeah.
I think it's always good to be around other people that are doing the same things you're doing,
Hmm.
because, I mean, good or bad, when more people to get together and sharing information, you can always glean from everybody. I
Right.
mean, that's the honest truth, and that's part of actually being humble, to understand that you don't know everything, and
Hmm.
people that maybe have never traded before can bring light and make you a better trader.
Right.
You know,
Right.
so it's always good. I think every kind of meetup, a lot of meetups are good, to be honest, to just surround yourself with good people. Just understand, don't take everything from that, and have to try new things out that totally take you away from what you're working on. You know,
Sure.
see what they could add, see what they could add. You
Right.
know, not so much take away from. Yep,
Yeah.
yep.
Well, a lot of
Like,
people are saying thank you, BK. Thank you, BK. We'll be listening to this again, all this kind of stuff. So thank you guys. Yes, this is just like all YouTube lives, it is recorded. So as soon as we're done with this, you can go and watch it again at a later time if you choose to. So we're gonna disconnect now, but in about 10 minutes, I'm gonna be back with the founder of Leeloo, Jody, aka my boss. So, guys, just let you guys know if you can hook me up with some cool comments, like, "Oh my gosh, where would Leeloo be without Chris?" Just
oh,
kidding.
I wish I wasn't on vacation. Actually, I wish I wasn't out here having to go to a ball game, because I like
Yeah,
to listen
yeah. I know
to
you
Jody.
got things to
She's
go. Yeah, yeah. I'm
yeah, but
excited.
no, I'm
She's.
just saying, I
Mhm.
like to listen to Jody. That's gonna be a great interview. She's very impressive with the few times I've gotten to talk to her. So
Mhm.
I think this will be a great video
Yeah, I'm
interview.
excited. She's
So
gonna be talking about something that your wife was telling me you should listen to. Actually, is how to be
okay.
patient. No, I'm just kidding.
She probably, y'all been talking, huh?
Yeah. She
Okay.
texted me. She was like, "Hey, can you have BK listen to Jody about being patient and patience?" No, just totally kidding, guys. That's how we
Yeah,
kick it.
yeah, yeah.
But yeah, so she's gonna be talking about being patient and being
Awesome.
patient
That's
regarding
great.
waiting your trade, right? And your whatever the
Yeah,
situation is. So I'm gonna go get ready for that. I need
that's
to go get
great.
some coffee for my voice and get ready to bring her on. So I am gonna be disconnecting this video and I'm gonna start a brand new one here in a few minutes. So guys, we have over 70 people watching. Be sure you come hang out with us here in a few minutes and join me and Jody on talking about the patience of trading and waiting for the right call. And BK, I want to thank you again for your time. For again, you're at the beach on vacation. Which I don't know if we call it vacation. If this is just
Yeah,
you're always doing something. I'm like, dude, just relax,
yeah,
okay? Just stay home, all right? No,
yeah,
but thank you so much. I
yeah,
really, really, really
yeah.
appreciate you, and I hope you have a great weekend. A week, yeah, it's Thursday, so a great end of the week and into the weekend. Okay.
All right, I appreciate it very much, and everybody, thank y'all for listening, and hope you got a little bit out of it. But just remember, you can do it. You can do it. You just have to work on it and be committed to it. But you can do this thing. So hang in there. But again,
Yep.
thanks a lot, Chris, for having me.
Perfect.
I appreciate it.
Yeah. No, thank you. All right, guys. I will see you guys in
Take care.
about 7 minutes. So please be sure you join our new YouTube live with Jody. So it's gonna say Demo Day, Jody live with Leeloo, CEO Chris. So be sure you click on that. So go get some water, take a little bathroom break, go get some snacks, and